Carl and Liam here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. It is getting goosebumps as we reach the 4th episode of season 3 of the Goosebumps TV series and the 48th episode overall. It premiered on September 20th, 1997. It is Don't Go to Sleep, the 54th book overall. So this is another story that R.L. Stine wrote. And this one has John Bell directing, but Rick Drew writing it. As always, we always begin these videos with a little bit of a preamble about the episode. So, Attack of the Mutant will probably go down in history as the strangest Goosebumps episode, or up there as one of the strangest Goosebumps episodes we've ever done. This one might give it a strong run for its money. It might even be stranger, and genuinely made me want to go read the fucking book to understand how the hell this read, because watching it was an absolute nightmare. This was one of the most frustrating note takings I've had to do, because normally I can follow a plot along and it almost preempts what I'm going to write next. With this one, I couldn't, because the next fucking scene was going to be something so off the wall. And by the end of it, you know what? By the end of it, and this is rare, I didn't actually think I understood what was happening. Not really properly.
I've been looking forward to this episode since we started this whole series for Goosebumps episodes, because for me this is just one of the most memorable episodes of Goosebumps, the TV show, overall, because it's just so weird and that makes it memorable. Same, I think, Attack of the Mutant. And I was looking forward to hearing your opinion on this one, just because I know how you felt about Attack of the Mutant, and this one I don't know why, but this episode is something about it that I always look back on it quite fondly, just because of how memorably weird it is. And on the article I did on the gbhblofficial website for the top 10 Goosebumps episodes back in the day, I actually put this into my top 10 just because of how memorably weird it is. But I'm not saying that technically makes it good, but there's just so much about it that you can't forget. And I think that is, that's commendable in itself in a way. Yeah.
Everything you say, I 100% agree with. We are in a strange position again. Now, I think what really helps this episode stand out is where it's positioned in the show. So the episode before was, of course, The House of No Return. The episode that follows it is called Click. And both of them are average, forgettable, and repeats of stories we've seen done elsewhere. This one is not that. So that immediately makes it stand out purely on that. You are right about the comparative to Attack of the Mutant from my perspective. I like Attack of the Mutant. I really, really hate this episode. But that doesn't mean I don't think it's a good episode in the sense that it's enjoyable to watch. Because at least one thing, fucking hell, this isn't a two-parter. This is just a single episode.
Yeah, there's a certain aspects in this episode, certain scenes that have just always stuck with me, and I'll discuss it as we go along. But yeah, I remember watching this one a lot when I was growing up, and it's definitely not aged as well as the nostalgia has made me feel that it did in the back of my mind. Like rewatching it now with fresh eyes, it's not perfect by any means. It's got a lot of problems, but yeah, it's just really damn strange, and I like it for that.
Fair enough. Right, we'll get into it. We're going to be stopping at a couple of major scenes, and that's where more information will come up. We begin in another classic Goosebumps style. Two siblings arguing. I know. Fucking hell. Teenage girl called Pam, played by Amanda Zamprogna, and a younger boy called Matt, played by Tyler Kite. And incredibly, she insults him with a very non-PC slur. And I was like, oh, that's aged it.
What was that again? I forgot what she said.
I'm not going to repeat it.
Oh, you can't repeat it.
Well, I don't want to repeat it. Basically, it's an insulting term for someone who suffers from dwarfism.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Right, yep. Yeah. No need to repeat it.
It seems par for the course so far, right? This episode. I was like, oh, here we go again, box ticking, almost writing my notes, as I said, in advance, because I know what's coming. And then what the fuck, Goosebumps? A third child enters the scene. A third sibling. Do you know how rare this is? It's always two, and it's always a boy and a girl.
Did that really break it for you? That was it. That broke it.
Blew my mind. Couldn't believe it. I was like, nah. I was like, it's probably a ghost, right? And this is where we're going. Yes, this is Greg, played by Carl Welton, the oldest of the three, and he is going out. And I was like, don't go out, mate. Stay. Stay so there's three of us for once. Matt complains to his mother, played by Kathleen Lasky, about his siblings and how Greg is allowed to go out and Laura gets her own phone. Laura? No, it's Pam. Pam. I've written the name wrong there. Pam gets her own phone. Why isn't he allowed anything? Even his request to move out of his small room and into the attic is denied. And his mother's reasoning? Because he's 12. This is what we call bad parenting. You do not just turn around. Basically, that's just telling your child, because I said so. That's not a great way to parent.
Mom?
What is it, honey? I'm in a hurry.
I was wondering if I could move my room to the attic.
Where'd you get that idea?
Well, it's just my room's so small, and I'll get more privacy up in the attic.
No, honey, don't be ridiculous. It's out of the question.
But why?
I said no.
That's not fair. How come I never get anything I want? Greg gets to stay out late, Pam gets her own phone line.
Look, honey, I know it's frustrating, but you won't be 12 forever. Pretty soon you'll be able to do everything your brother and sister are doing.
I don't want to be 12. I hate being the youngest.
Sorry, that's the way it is. That's reality, Matt.
Give your child right answers, reason with them, explain to them why this isn't necessarily a good idea or what they can do potentially to earn this and so on. I know it sounds really like judgmental on my part, but like I just was like, you're a bad mother.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but the actor that plays Matt he didn't he appear in a previous episode? I can't remember specifically which one, but I swear he was in another episode because I recognize his face.
Maybe the only thing I'd say is that I didn't find that information. I always look in the trivia parts for the episodes and then pull out the bits that interest me, and I didn't see anything for this. I may have just missed it though, so there is a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know why. Even though we just discussed it, that might be the reason why. But I feel like the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, like he's the kid in that. Maybe I'm not 100% sure on that. But
all right, no, right, okay. Well, you might be getting confused with the next episode with Click because there is an appearance from someone from the Cuckoo Clock of Doom in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know the main actor in the next episode is the one from Attack of the Mutant. The one who played Skipper. So
yeah, all right. We'll get the Clicks. At the moment, we're doing basic repeats. You know, considering the fact that the first two these episodes do have repeat actors, you're probably right, and I just missed it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I thought his acting in this episode on the whole was like pretty bad, but I don't remember him being that bad in what other episode he was in. And I don't know if you got the same vibe. It might just be completely off, but it obviously was it came out in the 90s, but I got like a major Home Alone vibe from this opening. Yep. The whole like younger kid complaining that he's being left out and the mother's quite strict and he's got these other siblings that are being like kind of dickish around him and stuff. Yeah, and then he obviously goes to sleep in the attic. You know, I got that whole vibe. So yeah.
100%, you're absolutely right. Because also Matt wishing he wasn't 12, and you also be careful what you wish for vibes here too.
Yeah, that is true.
But his mother's leaving to meet a friend, and with her out of the way, Matt heads up to the attic, planning to sleep there tonight, basically in defiance. But it's a little bit of it's weird, but it's also very child defiance. Whereas like, I'm going to sleep up there, forgetting the fact that it's probably cold and drafty. He's a little bit of a chicken shit as he's scared up there by a mannequin top. But also, like, there isn't a bed. There's just some, like, mattress on a, like, that's it. And he's like, I'm going to stay here. And it's like, yeah, that's the sort of thing a kid does. I'm going to stay up even though it's shit compared to my room.
It's true.
But this is where things start going weird. Because he sits on a mattress and then complains to the mannequin about not being allowed to stay in the attic. And he declares that he'll be staying there tonight and remarks on how he hates the reality his mother makes. Reality sucks, apparently. Which is an interesting bit of dialogue for a 12-year-old to say.
Yep.
You know something? I don't care what anyone says. I'm hanging out here tonight. Not old enough. Like, what's gonna happen? Exactly. Nothing.
That's reality, Matt.
Reality? Who needs it? I hate reality.
Matt falls asleep. Strange things then start to happen. As the sound of Matt's mother's voice rings out, reality seems to change around Matt, signified by the fan in the attic spinning and then the bed spinning around to match the ceiling fan. It's a very almost Batman cartoon-esque spinning like effect.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Isn't always so easy. Aren't you 12?
Sorry.
That's the way it is. That's reality. That's reality. That's reality. That's reality. That's reality. That's reality.
We then see Pam asking her mother, because we've cut to the next day, and Pam is asking her mother if she can use the phone, and her mother refuses. It's the next day as Matt arrives downstairs, and Pam angrily demands to know why he gets his own private line. Confused yet? It's going to get even more baffling. Mother says that he's on the All-Star team and calls him champ. Greg then compliments him. Greg's back. Yay! On how he played last night before he gets a call offering him endorsements. He's naturally, Matt, very confused, but there's no time to let it sink in as mother drags him off to the big game. What is going on? Who knows? Here's the thing. It's easy to follow and it's not, because this frantic pace is all we're going to get now until the very end of it, where you need to like be watching because it's constant.
Don't try and think too hard. That's the best way.
Yes. We then cut to a limo pulling up outside. The window rolls down and two men in black look out. And generally, men in black. Like, that's exactly what they've gone for. The entire look from the film. I mean, I don't know if it's a tribute or a little joke, but even one of them is a white man, one of them is a black man.
I was thinking the exact same thing, and I don't know the exact date of the release of this. Obviously, the book was done beforehand, but did this episode unintentionally or intentionally inspire the Men in Black? That's what I'm thinking right now when I'm seeing it, because it's too on the nose to be like, did they see that someone was watching that and they were like, let's do it? I don't know.
It is very, that's the thing, it's so on the nose that immediately when it rolled down, I was like, oh, right, that's the first thing I thought of, you know?
Well, maybe.
And again, we get an unusual Goosebumps new thing here. A hip-hop number plays over this scene. And it was so unexpected and so jarring, it stood out to me. I don't pay that much attention to the Goosebumps music. I just don't, because it's just there in the background. So when you get like a hip-hop number playing over this scene, I'm like, the fuck? And it's not a good, like, it's not a good hip-hop song either.
And is it a real song, or was it written like just for this episode to be used as a soundtrack? Because if that's the case, I can't think of any other episode of Goosebumps that had its own soundtrack performed by an artist or a band or whatever that went out to do it for this. Yeah, and I'd like to question also how it wasn't a bigger hit, because it's quite a banger. I'm joking, it's shit.
It is a bad song. The two men are played by Martin Roach and Anthony DeLongis. Outside, Matt is completely baffled as his mother tries to G him up for his big game. He's basically being just dragged around, and every time he's like, what's going on? What's going on? No one's listening to him. This is one of the things that frustrated me about this episode, because it gives it the old alternative reality things. But like, they're acting like Matt can't be understood or something. Like, but also the situations he's in are for someone that will be far older than him. And so it begs the question, are they seeing him in like in a different light?
That's the weird thing about this episode, is you mentioned the book, and I haven't read the book, but I went and read like the Wikipedia, and I also listened to someone's review of the book compared to the episode. And apparently in the book, he doesn't just get transported into different situations while in a child's body. He kind of ages as well. Like, he changes, like being older, he gets older and stuff like that. Like, so it would make more sense, right? I don't know why they went with the direction of, oh, let's have him be a kid, be placed in these scenarios. Yeah, whereas in the book he actually changes with age. Yeah,
I'm gonna take a wild punt and say cost.
One actor, have other actor. Yeah, that's true.
We then cut to Matt on the ice having an absolute nightmare in this hockey game. Although I suspect the reason why he's probably playing so shit is this game is being played in complete darkness with spotlights only. And I'm like, well, that's just me. I mean, no one's going to be able to play well there, are they?
Come on, what's going on out there? Come on, get up there!
fucking weird.
I don't want to accuse them of anything, but I don't think they had an actual hockey rink there. I think it's some kind of set.
After being knocked down again and again and again, Matt is pulled up by the ref and faces off against one of the opposing players, who reveals himself to be one of the men in black. He tells Matt that he doesn't belong here, and the other one appears behind Matt and just laughs. Okay. Yeah.
You got that right, kid. You don't belong here.
No, actually, I will say, them doing that gives me Matrix vibes. Matrix copied this as well. Men in Black, body jumping.
I'll go with it, man.
Matt gets slammed again as the Men in Black tease him, and it seems as though they can take the form of just about anyone. Matt then makes escape for the exit with the Men in Black pursuing. The exit being the goal mouth, it seems, and he slides through and wakes up on the floor in scrubs. He's a doctor now. I've slowed this down. I can't tell you how frantic this is. This ice game scene probably goes on for a good 3 minutes, and all of it is close-up shots, because this episode is obsessed with keeping the camera as tight to people's faces as possible to give it this almost unreality feel. And I guess that's probably why the dark exists and all that. But you just get and see a Matt get knocked down over and again, ask for help me out, help me out, help me out. Picked up, dropped again, over and over again. And it's so frantic that you just can't keep up.
I love the eccentricity of it all, though. It's so like off the scale, and from the actor performances and the soundtrack, I think it does a good job of giving it all this sort of like crazy dream feel, like a dream. Like,
yeah,
you ever had a dream where you go from one thing to the next and it doesn't really make sense? Kind of, yeah, they don't really like tie in it all. He's going from playing hockey to a doctor to so forth. It's like a crazy dream. I like that aspect.
It is. It really does nail the dreamlike effect of it. It is. So he's a doctor now, and apparently he's going to be doing brain. Oh my God, I just remember this part. I just laughed. I laughed of just the absurdity of this one. He's going to be doing brain surgery, but not just brain surgery on anyone. The president. The president. The whole world is counting on him, as he's literally handed a bone saw, a cutter. And it's just like, what the fuck? This is insane. And like, I'm not like sitting there going, this is stupid. He's a kid. Why can't I see he's a kid? I wasn't doing that at all. I bought into the belief that they saw him as older probably and stuff like that. But the way they're doing it, they're just like hammering him. Doctor, you must do this. He pauses. Anytime he tries to stop and take a breath or say to them what's going on, another one's insisting. They're putting the bone saw in his hand and like, go, you must start. The whole world's counting on you. And I'm sitting there going,
You're feeling the pressure, man. You're feeling it.
There's been a mistake. I'm not a doctor.
It's true. You're a genius. The most brilliant brain surgeon in the world.
Ready for surgery, Doctor.
Surgery?
Yes, the president is under anesthesia and ready to be operated on.
The president?
Yes. As you can see, the growth is in a particularly delicate area of the brain. Now, if the operation is successful, the president will be perfectly fine, but one small slip and...
Please, doctor. The whole world's counting on you.
Naturally, Matt starts to freak out, but before it can go any further, the Men in Black arrive and tell him to come with them. But Matt's scared shitless, makes his escape by, this time, jumping over the president's body and ending up in a brand new reality. Here's the thing, fuck rules. I'm like, well, I was like, what's the rule for moving from reality? And you know what? Who cares? It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I think this was another thing that they skipped from the book. It was that in the book he has to actually go to sleep to then wake up in the next reality, which obviously he has difficulty with that in the book, like having to go to sleep, but to escape that reality, he has to go back to sleep. Obviously, he's hoping that if he goes to sleep, he'll wake up in his own bed type of thing, but ends up taking him to another one. Yeah.
So new reality, and this one is just as hilarious as well, as this one puts him in a SWAT outfit. And as soon as I saw it, I went, okay, I know where this is going. Big dark industrial building, I'm pretty sure looked like the exact one from the Attack of the Mutant.
That's true.
And he's expected to disarm a bomb that would detonate in 20 seconds. Again, it's just the behavior of the adults with them. I mean, credit to all the adults who are giving this kid a right old torrid time for the speed and all that and doing a nice job of it. But of course, he doesn't have a clue. And I do like the fact that they kind of think he's making jokes with them and he's just leaving it to the last second because that's what you do. That's quite funny.
That's cool, yeah.
But with 1 second left, he tries to make a run for it and gets sent to another reality. So,
this one.
Well, before we get to that, I do things in the They Made What into a Movie TV series show that's done with me and Damon. Whenever anything says, here's a timer, I will always pause the movie, get that timer started, and then start my stopwatch. I am quite obsessed with seeing how accurate it is. I always remember being stunned by one of the later Resident Evil movies, doing that, and being only like 2 seconds out. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So, 20 seconds. How long do you think that 20 seconds actually lasts?
Ooh, over a minute.
Not that much. It is double, though. It's 40 seconds. 40 seconds actually transpires from the point of when we see 20 on the clock and when we see 1 before it blows up.
They just didn't give themselves enough time. 20 seconds is just so a silly number.
You just give yourself the time you need.
Mm.
So
maybe that's why the actors were trying to get through their lines so frantically, because they had 20 seconds to quickly get out.
Yeah.
Too ridiculous, you know.
But Matt's next reality is one for the kids to laugh at. It is very silly. It's a wedding, and he is the groom, and his bride is waiting at the altar. Again, oddly, we get a pop song playing here. And I was like, 2 actual songs in an episode. That's unusual, right?
Yeah.
Because it stands out.
That's...
En route to the altar, Matt is cheered on by the guests and his mother as well. She's there. And Matt is kind of like, he's so confused and baffled at this. He just carries on walking to the altar. And then we see his bride. And it's one of those, we got to make her look really, really awful. It should be noted that most of the same adults play the same actors in different realities. For example, this bride was a nurse in the Doctor one as well. And the priest is the bomb squad guy and the main surgeon as well. So there's just that constant mixing up. But she's basically, the camera's up close. She's a little overweight, but they've added warts and growths. And hilariously, I laughed. They have a bite into a raw onion. But I was like, oh, there we go.
Yeah, that scene with the bride biting into a raw onion, that is burned into my brain from a kid from seeing that. It's something.
How dare you keep me waiting on our wedding day!
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today.
Even as an adult, you're like, okay, that's pretty nasty. It is nasty.
And it almost looks like she does, so I don't know if the actor had to or not. So
yeah, I mean, truth be told, I didn't really dispute it. I didn't really look at it and go, is that an apple? Is that something fake? I was kind of like...
We didn't get back and watch it frame by frame.
No. But then if you're just like, oh, the scene is biting to a raw onion, and then it cuts, and you spit it out, just bloody bite into a raw onion. It'd be funnier.
That's true. Yeah.
But anyway, the men in black arrive and tell him that he won't get away this time. And Matt screams, sends him on another trip, but this time he finds himself outside the door of the Supreme Court of the Unified Universe. And I threw my hands up at this point. I was like, oh my God, are we doing, oh my God, what's that famous book that was made into a film? Oh, fuck. I've forgotten the name of it. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I got a real vibe of that from it.
Yeah, that does sound like something pulled out of that, doesn't it?
He tries to run inside after being assailed by voices from different realities, but it's locked. Then the 2 men in black arrive and call themselves the Reality Police. Honestly, at this point, I was just like, I think I love this, but I also think it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so crazy.
It's getting a reaction out of you, man. What more do you want?
It is. It's very, very unforgettable. They get hold of Matt, put him in a chair, and tell him that he's in trouble before he's sent inside the court to be tried in front of a judge played by Howard Jerome. So here I'm going to pause and just talk specifically about the Men in Black and the Judge. So the Men in Black, we haven't really talked about their style for it, but their shit is what makes me laugh constantly. Those two dudes are giving it their all as they're just so like constantly like, hey, you're in trouble now, and laughing. And they, considering they're supposed to be police, they sure are enjoying themselves here and seem to be taking a certain level of pleasure in tormenting him.
Where am I?
He wants to know where he is. I'll tell you where you are. You're in trouble.
That's true, and I would have loved to have known what the direction was, what they were told to do, because yeah, they're really, really hamming it up.
Yeah, they always, everything they say, they like that in his face, like constantly. Hilarious. But nobody is touching Howard Jerome for the most over fucking acting, unnecessary behavior for a Goosebumps episode. I literally thought this was the most spectacular role I'd ever seen of just, you have been given a couple of minutes, been told, look, you've got to be intense, and he's just gone, sweet, I'm going to go for it. If those kids, if fucking Matt wasn't terrified in this scene throughout all this screaming and shouting and behavior, I don't know, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know how he held it together during that, but to use a wrestling insider term, I think he grabbed the brass ring in that situation.
Well fucking said. Pure brilliant stuff. Of course, Matt pleads not guilty and declares himself innocent, but footage of his disdain for reality is played. I was like, man, that's some flimsy fucking evidence. Come on, guys.
But that's all they got, really.
Yeah,
That's only recent as well, like nothing else before that.
Then he's charged with crimes against reality. And I was like, what? I don't get, this is where I talk about, just don't get it. Because like, if you want me to sort of like play along, explain just in one line, just so you can simply explain, like, you've been reality jumping without permission. Say that. Because you don't know how he's done it. I don't know how he's done it. We don't need to know how he's done it, but that's the crime.
True, yeah.
Matt tries to argue that he now accepts his own reality, but the judge is having none of it. And this is what I'm talking about. Just like, bloody hell, that gavel as well. It's a massive gavel. Just like...
All I can hear is him shouting, guilty.
Yeah, it's brilliant. As Matt is found guilty of his crimes.
Guilty!
Guilty?
Guilty! Guilty! You are guilty! Guilty, guilty, guilty! Guilty, guilty!
The judge goes nuts with his gavel, clearly enjoying himself way too much. But at this stage, no one seems to notice that a reality portal is opened under Matt as the judge orders the Men in Black to get him. That again kind of threw me off. But I realized they were probably like, we need to get to the end of this episode, so we just do it, right?
Yeah, I'd like to know. I didn't actually get to the point where I read how he escapes it, but that seems like a bit of a weak, like, let's just get to the end, because it doesn't really explain how he escapes. But then there is a little bit, I guess, at the end as a hook to maybe say he didn't, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of saw the hook coming, because I was like, even if you escape back to your own reality, it's still a reality. Like, they surely can come there. But yes, Matt does go through the portal and back to his own reality, being woken up in the attic by his mother, who demands he comes downstairs. Matt believes what he experienced was a dream and tells his mother about it. And that kind of fit, as you said earlier, with the dreamlike state it gave off anyway.
Yeah.
She's dismissive, but offers to let him move into the attic. She's like, you know what? Obviously, I haven't thought about it, maybe being a little bit of a dick. And it's like, you know what? You can move into the attic. But he's changed his mind, declaring that he likes things the way they are. Before we can go to bed, she sends him back up to get his stuff out. And as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, here we go. Here's the Goosebumps bit. He is unhappy about it, and you can see he's not quite convinced as he tries to tell himself it was just a dream. But once upstairs, he is then accosted by the Men in Black, suggesting he isn't out of the woods yet. And that's how the episode ends. And I guess you can make up your own mind where it goes. I don't know. Either way, I was just like, oh, as I said, I love it. I hate it. It's dumb. it's entertaining, it's memorable as fuck, but it's also so stupid that it's just a waste of time.
It's good old boring reality.
Boring? Oh, Matt, the fun's just beginning.
Here we go.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, it is a mindfuck of an episode, I think, and it's not technically good. Like I said, watching it again back, it's not as good as I maybe remember it being, but it's so memorable. So you have to at least give it that. I don't think Matt is a very likable protagonist. I don't know how you felt about him. He's obviously supposed to be this whiny younger kid, even though I can relate to some of his frustrations growing up with siblings, and they're all older than you and whatnot, and they get things that maybe you want and stuff, and you want to be older as well, kind of thing. So I can relate to that, and I think it gets his point across in a way. Like, I don't think there's some kind of message in there about being young, the idea of growing up seeming so like desirable, but growing up comes with a lot of responsibilities, and I think that's the whole point, is trying to get across that, oh, you want to be older, well, you have to get jobs, you have to do this, you have to, yeah, all these stresses and all this pressure that can come with being older. I think that's the point it's trying to get across, but it's older in such a crazy way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a familiar story. It's a familiar tale. I mean, going to something like Quantum Leap as well, an old TV show, as an example of that sort of thinking. It's nothing fresh in that. I think what stands out for me, though, it's not the characters, aside from the judge, really more than anything else. It's just the scenarios. It's the scenarios. I almost wanted it to go on a little bit longer to see what other mad ideas they could throw in there. Because you can say, like, the ice hockey one was straight away off the wall. Because, like, that's not an obvious thing to go to. So then to go that to the surgeon. But that, well, basic, it's then like, oh, no, but he's operating under the president, and everybody's waiting with bated breath for you to fix the president's brain. I'm like, okay, that's the difference. And then that to the bomb squad thing. Like that, and then the wedding, of course. Like, it was so round the fucking world, as it were. How could I not be entertained by that?
Yeah, but it would have been nice if they had more time to spend in each reality. And then it's like, also, he conveniently escapes the realities at the most convenient point, like when a bomb's going to go off, when he has to operate, etc. and stuff. And it's like, why is that happening? Why is he escaping between realities anyway?
Yeah,
that doesn't really make sense.
No, agreed. And, you know, go back to the crimes against reality thing. I would have liked as well, it could have tied something in by the judge saying every reality you jumped into, you screwed up because you didn't do what the person who would be in that reality was supposed to do.
Yeah, like the bomb did go off, and the president died on the surgical table, and that had ramifications, and that's his crimes, you know. Yeah, could have gone further with it for sure.
Yeah, the only problem with that was that the scale would have been off the chart. It would have been, they lost a big game, the president died, the bomb went off, and you jilted your wife at the altar. There's a problem with scale there.
Yeah, that's not it. Yeah, maybe in there, try and rearrange it a little bit.
This is one that will be debatable again. I generally didn't think this would happen again, but come tier list at the end of season 3, this will hold a similar position to Attacking the Mutant, where we're both going to have wildly different views and have to come up with some sort of agreeable state for it. It might be a bit easier because, like I said, I can at least see its entertaining craziness. But
I think it's a little different because I can see why this is not a good episode.
Yeah.
But I do think Attacking the Mutant is a good episode, so that's why it's different. Yeah.
Do you think this is a good episode? Do you think it's batshit crazy? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhblofficial.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music, and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror, and heavy metal. What else is life for?